Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I couldn't tell it went live. Good morning. How are you doing? I know Monday I took off because it was a President's Day and I felt a lot of people were traveling. They were doing something or having fun with family and friends. So I didn't play it up too much to think that you all would have time for me. But I'm back. It's Wednesday. I am back. It's just hard to believe that the days keep going by faster and faster. And today is the 21st day of February. Okay, so this year is going to rush on too. Okay, you see it, it's coming, it's coming, it's going to be gone. So, because this is Black History Month, I said before I actually get into my word of the day, I'm going to ask you, are you stuck? Because sometimes we do get stuck. We get stuck in a period of epoch, which is that it's a period where some major things happen, some events took place, and they're memorable events, and everyone can sometimes remember them as being the same. Or you could have your own epoch where it might be a family member that dies, could be a parent, a child, something of that nature. It could be the day you left your job, that retirement, that could have been a period of a epoch for you where you'd never forget it. Maybe they gave you the keys to the boardroom, or gave you a check for $10,000. I know that didn't happen. It didn't happen to me when I retired from the federal system. It did not happen. But one of the things I said I wanted to do in conjunction with my word all of this month is just make sure that I say something about the importance of Black history. And I know a lot of people kind of have steered away from it in some instances because they think it rehashes what, forefathers did. And it really doesn't matter. History is history, regardless of the way we want to look at it, the way we may like it, not like it, care for it, not care for it. It's still history. It still was something that occurred. And sometimes the details may get kind of mumbled jumbled, but for the most part, history is history. So I went on this morning to this place called Paycor, www.paycor.com. And it's a resource center for, it says, 15 lesser known Black history facts. I just thought that was interesting because we know a lot of facts. And actually, I'm getting scared because some of these I already know. And I'm thinking, well, these are not lesser known, but that's just me speaking. Maybe I'm up on my facts today. I don't know, because when I was reading them, I wasn't sure if other people already knew them. And anyway, it says that they were last updated on January 11th of 2022. So they're within a 2-year period. So they're current. Anything else would be current Black history, but these are more dated in time. And it says 1 minute takeaways. It says Harvard educated historian and author Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Now, I always remember that name being associated with insurance. Okay. But what do I know? It says, but that he was credited with creating Black History Month. So even the month itself was out of his vision of what needed to happen on a monthly basis that we would talk about. Excuse me, we would talk about Black history. And it also says Black History Month started as a Negro History Month, which was celebrated during the week of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass's birthdays of February 12th and February 14th. And it says in 1976, President Gerald Ford. Good morning, Debbie. How are you, my friend? Love you, love you, love you. I'm giving a little Black history as it's going to relate to our word, which is epoch. But it says in 1976, President Gerald Ford declared February to be Black History Month. 1976 is when it came in as actually being its own month. You're good? All right. You made it. Thank you. Thank you. And so in honoring Black History Month, they said they've had some, connections that kind of what they would call takeaways on information. And it says After we talk about who started it, here's some other tidbits they have. It says, and this is quick trivia. It says William Tucker, son of indentured servants from Great Britain, was the first recorded African child to be born in the colonies in 1624. Interesting. It says Vermont was the first colony to ban slavery in 1777. I'm going to give some more. It says between 1810 and 1850, an estimated 100,000 slaves used the Underground Railroad to escape to the north. These are just little tidbits of information I got out there. Hattie McDaniel. Now, you all might know this one. It says Hattie McDaniel was the first Black person to win an Oscar for her supporting role in Gone with the Wind. And they said, and then Sidney Poitier was the first Black man to win, and that was 24 years later than when she won, because she won in 1940. And it says, and his role was he was in the play, in the actual movie Lilies of the Field. I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was really cute. Let's see, I'm going to give two more. It says baseball legend Jackie Robinson had an older brother, Matthew Mac Robinson, who broke the Olympic record in 1936 in the 200-meter dash. However, he took home the silver medal because he finished behind Jesse Owens. This little fact. Everybody remembers Jesse Owens' name. Oh, look at this. 1973. This one you may remember. It says Stevie Wonder was the first Black artist to win a Grammy for Album of the Year for Inner Visions. And then Nat King Cole was the first African American to host a TV show on the Nat King Cole Show, which debuted on NBC. So those are just a few little facts about. Oh, and then this one I kind of like, but I remember this name. It says, founded in 1984, the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo celebrates Black cowboys and cowgirls in the only touring African-American rodeo in the world. I've heard of that, but I've never seen it. But the big thing now is Beyonce. Beyonce is number one on the Billboard charts for her new song, which is a cowboy song, and she has on the cowboy outfit and everything. So look it up. I'm not going to go much into it anymore. But good morning. I have great memories of celebrating Negro history at my elementary school, Spencer Bibbs. Wow. And see, I was a northern raised child. I was born and raised in New York. So, all I knew of was Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and George Washington Carver. Those about the three that I knew as I was coming up. After that, blank. So that's really good. That's really good. Thank you so much, Ardelia, for giving us that info. So anyway, what is epoch? Epoch is a particular period of time marked by distinctive features and events. So what I want you to do before we get out of our little session this morning is write down a period that you remember in your lifetime that it was a huge thing going on for you. I know one lady I was talking to, and she says she remembers Woodstock. Okay. Another one says they remembers the civil rights, movements. So what is yours? What is yours? Do you have one? Or it might be something even, more towards your own family. That maybe it wasn't on the national level, but it made such an issue for you going on because it was not only remembered, but it affected you in some way. So anyway, epoch, it says, is a period of time marked by distinctive features or events. So they're looking at the age that you might have been at or the period that it was going on in, the date, the era, the span, and the time. All of that has to do with epoch. Okay. So Debbie, 911. Yes, Debbie. Yes. I was going to say 911, but I was holding off to see if somebody else said it. Yeah. 911. I remember. Do you remember where you all were for 911? No. 9/11 was just, ooh, it was something else. I remember sitting at my desk. I was working for the government, and I had an assistant, and he came over. And he had a little TV. We had a little TV in my section, but it was really, really small. It was like about that big. And he said, Sandy, put on the TV on channel 3. I turned it on, and sure enough, there it was. All of it. It showed it actually flying into the building. So yes, absolutely. Driving a school bus and saw it on the TV, but in the office, I was devastated. Me too. Me too. I was glued to the V. I was heartbroken. I remember that day just having so much anxiety, because that's what I was talking about. What did it do to you? For me, it gave me anxiety and fear, thinking that who would do such a thing, and are they still out there? Will they do it again? Because that's what we think about, those kind of events that just do it like that, where it's an epoch. It's just memorable. You just don't forget. I hardly blinked while watching all that on the news live. Me too. Me too. And for probably years, I had not quite nightmares, but daymares, where I just would repeat what I had seen in my head. It's like, wow, who could be so horrible? Who could be so mean? Such a heinous kind of thing. That's what I thought. I mean, and who would take their own lives and take out everybody, as many people as they could, when they were leaving the world. But even when I see mass shootings, those kinds of things, they give me anxiety too. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, when we break the word down, so I believe that you all know what I'm talking about when we've been through something that the world has seen, and we are too experiencing what everyone else is seeing. That would be an epoch, but it could also be something as more individualized, where I've had people where say that several family members died at one time, like right after one after another. So that would be their epoch, because they would always remember that, as so and so went, and so and so went, and so and so went, all within a small period of time. They would remember that, the span, the era, the dates, the age that they were, the age that the people were when they left, and that kind of thing. Ardelia, this says the period when Martin Luther King, John, and Bobby Kennedy were. I remember that. I do. I really do. And I remember I was in high school when Dr. Martin Luther King was killed, and I just remember it being just crazy. And I worked as a night after school cashier for a retail store in New York, and I remember a man coming up to my cashier station, and he said, "Do you did you hear the news?" And I said, "What's the news?" He said, "Well, they assassinated Martin Luther King tonight." I said, is he going to live?" And he said, "No, he is dead. It wasn't just an assassination attempt. It was an assassination done." That was just, and I remember COVID. Yes, those are current. Yes, I remember COVID when the world shut down. Everybody would remember that. Okay, unless unless you're 2 and 3 and 1 years old, you won't remember it. But if you were up on an age enough to remember it, that was a hard time. So when we break the word down, my E is for the era that it happened in. Era is a period. It's a period of time marked by distinctive character and events. It happened. We remember it. It says it's the cycle that might have gone on. What happened? How long did it last? Who was involved in it, or who wasn't involved in it? We just remember particulars about things that happen while we're watching. Or sometimes we're not watching, and someone brings our attention to it, and then it becomes sometimes even more devastating because we realize the impact is huge. Good morning, Miss Rosie. I forgot to tell you, and Ardelia. Good morning, everybody. So anyway, it talks about the era being the generation, the stage, the term, the time. They said some people on 9/11, they don't work, They fast, they do certain things because they remember what happened. They remember that very stressful, trying, and fearful time, my P when I move on in the world. Electrical, okay, electrical feelings, yes, yes, they're like a charge. Yes, Debbie, I get that. That's good. um the P in my epoch word is for the period of time that it happened in. It says a rather large or smaller interval of time that is meaningful in the life of a person, in its history, etc., because of particular characteristics happened. A period of illness, a period of great, profitability, or a period of strife, a period of death, a period. So that kind of thing pretty much talks about what the period, what a pandemic. There you go. That's wonderful. What set up in that period of time. So in this instance, it's once again, it's still talking about the ages there, the age that went on, what happened during that aged period, what was the course that it took, what cycle did it wind or involve, what was the date of it, the duration of time. The season, because sometimes it says that things like this happen only in seasons. I remember living when we lived in Italy. I remember Mount Etna, um, blowing, the volcano, and I didn't feel it. I didn't, but I could see the molten rock rolling down the very high, plains and the hills and the mountains. And all I could think is, will it come here? That's all I could think of, because we would be considered all the way down headed towards Catania, which is the largest, was the largest port area in Sicily. And we were all the way down there. And all I kept thinking of is, it headed this way? It wasn't, but that's how it made me feel. So I had a little fear about what was going on with that volcano. And then on top of the volcano, we had an earthquake over there, and I think it was a 5, and I slept through that, so I didn't get fearful until I woke up. Okay, pandemic. Oh, paranoid. Yeah, that would be good. Paranoid. Yes. Pandemonium, all of that, all of those P's. So, anyway, when we move on in our word, my O is for the occasion. The occasion means a particular time, especially marked by a certain circumstances and the occurrences or the importance of that time, the event or the ceremony that it may have actually occurred. So, in instance, we're talking about what was the incident that happened, or incidents, if it was more than one. Like, seeing, on television, the unrest after, George Floyd, after Dr. Martin Luther King, those things. And then I lived in, even though it was multicultural neighborhood, there was still a large number of African Americans, And so all I kept thinking of is, wow, I hope nobody's going to, get out and do, crimes that are heinous, and there'd be shootings and dogs. And I was fearful, I was fearful because I'm still young. I'm only a teenager. So I was young during that time, but there you go. You never know. You never know. So this time period of the occasion talks about the incident, the moments it started happening, the opportunity that someone might have taken, the possibility of what's next, so there could be worry. Let's face it, many of us who try not to worry, doesn't say we don't. Okay. The outcome, ooh, that's good. The oh no, yes, those are good, Debbie. The oh no and the outcome. Because sometimes the outcome is just that. It's like, wow, I can't believe the devastation that happened. I haven't been to ground zero. Every time I go home, I said I'm gonna go, and we always cannot get over there. So I haven't seen, the memorial site yet, but I imagine that it would be, for me, a place of sacredness and quiet and maybe prayer, meditation, because I do believe that those places become almost like a shrine for those that lost their lives during that period. It said it's the same thing that happens to the museum up in, I believe it's in Montgomery, the African Museum that where they have all of the bells or the and the blocks that are hanging, and they said that that's something to see too, which is, I haven't been there yet, but we have plans to go soon. So those are the kinds of things that pretty much, say, there were outreaches, there are outcomes, there was a period of paranoia and pandemic and all of those things that pretty much have set our lives on tilt every now and then. Every now and then we are worried. Every now and then we are off balanced, off keyed, only because we understand the period of time that we're living in. My C today is for just understanding that when we have the C, there's a cycle that goes out. They said there's a cycle of violence, even in domestic violence and at home, with people. There's sometimes a cycle, and sometimes when one thing happens, it triggers other things. So that would be scary. That would be very scary. So it says the cycle's any complete round or series of occurrences that repeats or is repeated. Scary, huh? Scary. It says it could be the course of action that takes place, the chaos. The chaos is really good. And then it also talks about the rhythm that happens, because sometimes you see things that happen, it doesn't happen in one or twos. It's going to happen in the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the 6, only because, sometimes those things repeat themselves because there might be copycat, there might be what I would call an unveiling of evil, just allowing people to see that there's other stuff going on. Then there's the cycle that talks about it being almost like a revolution. Here we go, the revolution. Then it's the basic, the roundedness of it, the fact that it becomes circular because you don't see anyone being able to get off. It's like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. I can't see it changing. Circumstances, that's great. Circumstances, because let's face it, we do, when we see things going on that we don't have any control over, we realize the limitations of our own circumstances and others. I was watching a show the other night, and it was about a woman who picked a husband that she said immediately they were, she decided she was going to marry him, and she knew that he was going to be her knight in shining armor, and he ended up killing her. And she started writing about it, but he didn't know that she was writing about it. But she said she asked for a divorce. He said she never asked for it. But, sometimes we don't know that we've been set up to be in a situation that may become someone else's epoch as they're looking back at the history, at the span of time that it happened in, at all the things that went on that pretty much has us, tied up. Circus, come on now. That's really good. That's really good. Now, my last letter, I'm going to leave that last letter. Give me some words for the H. I changed courses on my H. I want to see what you did. Let's see what you did on your H. Put something in there, Debbie. I know you know how to do this. Put something in there, and let me see what that H would have been. History. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Guess what? That's what I have. I said history is a period of time. that once it has left today, it becomes the history from yesterday. It becomes our history. It becomes what we might learn from. We might find fear in. We might find agitation from. We might still be living today in the history of yesterday. Okay, and history talks about time, talks about a period. It talks about what is behind us, what was old in terms of what occurred back in the day or even yesterday. It's still history. So I chose history. Debbie always picks the same thing I pick. Healing. Come on now. Also, another word would be happy. Eventually, we learn to get over all the things that we struggled with through that epoch. We learn to get over it. We find later on that you know, our minds will allow us to leave what's in the past. You know, it's so interesting. We were talking in my Sunday school class on this past Sunday, and one of the things we were talking about is that what if God, for me, I'm a Christian, and what if God had given us the ability to see into our future, to understand that not only that we're going to be sick, or we're going to be murdered, or we're going to be homeless, or that we would not live our lives to the fullest. And he wanted us to live like that. So therefore we don't, pretty much forecast forward. We're not looking to needing that information. I said that would probably have people on edge and fearful all the time, because we can't avoid where we're going. We can't avoid what already happened to us, because it happened. We can't avoid where we're going, because we're going. Yet and still, what we can do is live each single day, each time period that we're in, to the best of our ability. That's one of the things I'm always telling people: live your life. Even if, it's not the life that you used to have, say, or a spouse passed, or a boyfriend, girlfriend is no longer around, or you left your job and you love the people that you still have to live your life. Live your life. Find new meaning. Find somebody that can make your future epochs tolerable. Because that's what makes sense. Eventually, I don't think any of us thought we would ever get over that period of 9/11. We just lived it for a very long time, and we had a lot of fear. Even if we didn't talk about the fear to others, we had fear. For the longest time, people, they didn't want to go on airplanes, because it brought back that idea that somebody could be on there to hijack the plane. you know Same thing, even though I was young, my parents always put lockdown on us: where you at, what you doing, who you with. Okay. And as it got dark, my mother and father still reinforced that, excuse me, if it's dark, your butt need to be in the house if it's dark. So, all the kids got older, they got more leeway. I probably had leeway, but I didn't take it. Once I saw what they were doing in terms of the riots and everything on TV, I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to. I didn't feel safe out there. And see, that's what happens, is that when we see things like the major things we've mentioned today, they unearth us. They make us where we're unsteady. We're not sure about our surroundings, or sure about the people that we may come in contact with, or even the ones we've never come in contact with, but they still could do us harm. Scary, you know. But listen, that was a cool lesson. I was just trying to get something off that kind of made you think a little bit, not a lot, but brought you back to where we've all probably been by now, even if you don't know anything about the civil rights movement, or anything about 9/11, which was seemed like yesterday when you look at some of the things. They had that special on again, the 9/11 at during that period. Every year they bring it on maybe CNN or one of those news shows, and it was, oh help, That's right. Sometimes that's all we need is help. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie is my co-chair today. Debbie's always there. But listen, I love you guys. I'm going to be back on Friday, and we'll have our final session of the week. Hope you've had a good week. I hope your day off was a good one, and that you got to either rest or do something else that you wanted to do. But I'm going to see you on I Learned a Lot in a New Word. Okay. There we go. There we go. This is what I'm trying to tell people. The learning words is so much fun because not only can people think they're talking around you, but you can talk back to them and let them know that I know what you're talking about. And sometimes if you go to getting the root of the word down, anything that comes, any derivatives of the word, you have those as well. You have those as well to pluralize it or, make it, yours, theirs, whatever. But it's all connected, all of it, all of it. She's a great teacher, isn't she? Don't butter the teacher up. But anyway, if I was out, I was giving candy today, you'd all would get your favorite lollipop. But I will see you all on Friday. Have a good day. If you don't do anything else, you don't have to pay me. But if you would hit that share button and I could see 4 or 5 shares, I would absolutely love it. Be safe out there, okay? Watch your surroundings. There's still some folks that don't like anybody, okay? Anybody. So anyway, enjoy your day. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.